if I pray this novena, then the novena is going to save me. Or wear this scapular, the wearing of this fabric is going to save me. That's completely false.
Hello everyone, I'm Joseph Dinesh, a Catholic commentator from Sydney, Australia. In today's video, we will uncover superstitious practices that many Catholics unknowingly follow and even promote to others, often without realizing the serious threat these pose to their relationship with God. Growing up in India, where superstition is deeply ingrained in the culture, I witnessed firsthand how these practices can mislead people. They often appear harmless or even devout at first glance, but beneath the surface, they subtly promote a misplaced trust in rituals and objects rather than in God Himself. For a long time, I assumed these superstitious practices were prevalent in India due to its Hindu cultural influence. However, I've come to realize that superstition isn't confined to cultures like the one I grew up. It's just not a third world issue. It reflects a universal human tendency to cling to anything that offers a sense of control. This mindset is just as prevalent in the Western world, especially among celebrities and public figures. To illustrate this, let me share an example.
Well, not a lot of rules. We just have superstitions.
Okay. Run us. So, if your nose itches.
Oh, if your nose itches, you're going to get angry about something. But in order to combat that, you have to itch your nose and then touch your bum, which is like a sign that
you're
going to get angry. So you just go, oh, hello, little itch, and then you just touch your bum and it's gone.
Something very similar in Indian culture. It's common for people to touch a door, a piece of wood, or even their own head after sharing a good news, believing this wards off bad luck or prevents misfortune.
And what's the good luck about the underwear?
But if you've got a big event or something big is happening in your life and you want to protect yourself from the evil eye, you just wear your knickers inside out.
Oh my God, I'm doing all of these. These are brilliant. You get to scratch your butt.
This reminds me of the Indian practice of scheduling significant events such as weddings or housewarming ceremonies at very specific times determined by astrology or other superstitious beliefs about what constitutes an auspicious moment. I recall telling one of my uncles that I planned to visit him, and he insisted that I come only between 4 and 5 p.m. because that was an auspicious time. I was thinking to myself, what is an auspicious time? Why should I come only during the auspicious time? How do you know that it's an auspicious time? Now, if you're thinking these aren't practices Catholics would follow, you're absolutely right. However, as Catholics, we have our own version of superstitions, and they can be just as irrational as secular or cultural ones. Let's listen to what Father Mike Schmitz has to say.
Catholics can also be just as guilty of superstition, even in the practice of their faith. What do I mean? I mean that there are things that we do as Catholics that are devotions. Things like, pray a novena in order to know your vocation, or pray a novena to find your spouse, or something along those lines. Things like sometimes people turn to saints in a way that seems a little bit more superstitious than trusting in their intercession. Or even a great gift, a great devotion is the scapular. Now, some people could wear a scapular not out of a sense of love and trust in Our Lady's intercession, but they can wear a scapular because they feel like it is their good luck charm, right? It's the thing that they're trusting in rather than the who they're trusting in.
As Father Mike explains, the key difference between using a sacramental like a scapular properly and falling into superstition lies in your intention and where you place your trust. For example, if a Catholic says, wearing the scapular reminds me of God's love and protection, that reflects the proper use of a sacramental. However, if someone says, as long as I wear the scapular, nothing bad can happen to me, it becomes superstition because the trust shifts from God to the object itself, distorting its true purpose. Similarly, if a Catholic says, as long as I hold the rosary in my hand, I won't fall into temptation, that too is superstition, as it attributes power to the object rather than to God's grace and the act of prayer. As the Catechism of the Catholic Church states, to attribute the efficacy of prayers or of sacramental signs to their mere external performance apart from the interior dispositions that they demand is to fall into superstition. Considering this, why does the Catholic Church view superstitious practices not just as misguided but as sinful? Let's listen to Father Mike.
The Church forbids superstition. It's actually a sin. A sin. Why? Because it's a sin against the first commandment. The first commandment's all about God alone. You know, the great Shema prayer, right? The prayer of, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is Lord alone. He's the only one. Superstition is looking to something or someone other than God for some kind of solution, for some kind of help.
The core reason why superstition is sinful is that it violates the first commandment. I am the Lord your God, you shall have no other gods before me. Superstition shifts trust away from God to created things like objects, rituals, or practices, elevating them to a place that belongs to God alone. Consider a child holding its mother's hands. The child's trust isn't in the physical hand itself. The hand doesn't provide safety, comfort, or guidance. Instead, the trust lies in the mother, her presence, love, and assurance of protection. The hand serves as a tangible connection, a physical sign of deep relationship between the child and the mother. In the same way, sacramentals are meant to remind us of God and deepen our trust in Him, not to take His place or become objects of misplaced dependence. Now, there is always a deeper reason why people elevate certain things in their lives to the status of idols, whether it's money, power, pleasure, or honor. These things often provide a false sense of security, identity, or fulfillment. When it comes to superstitious practices, the reason goes even deeper. People cling to these rituals or objects out of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of bad luck, or fear of losing control over their lives. Superstition offers the illusion of control, a way to feel as though they can manipulate circumstances or protect themselves from harm. Let's listen to Father Mike explain this exact thing.
But in the heart of the person who's given into superstition is typically fear. It's almost always connected to some kind of anxiety. It's almost always connected to some kind of control. In fact, that's one of the reasons why the Catechism says things like tarot cards or fortune telling, things like necromancy or desire to speak to the dead, things like Ouija boards or things like horoscopes. Crystals is a big deal these days. And so people turn to crystals and say they have some kind of power, or astrology, and think like what sign a person is born under. Again, those are sins against the first commandment, and they reveal something about our heart. They reveal that I have a desire to control because I'm afraid. I have a desire to know because the future is uncertain. This situation or this relationship is uncertain, and I desire certainty. We want the guarantee. And we think that if I turn to some of these superstitions, then I'll have the guarantee. I'll have a degree of control. And again, once again, that is prohibited, right? That is, it's a sin.
At their core, all superstitious practices attempt to manipulate God, bending Him to your will, or to seize control of the situation, effectively playing God yourself. It's a dangerous path, a rebellion disguised as piety. And don't think for a moment that using Catholic sacramentals or prayers make it any less serious. As Father Mike boldly reminds us, whenever you place anything in the place of God, you are stepping into the world of sin. So in conclusion, the most effective antidote to superstition is this: recognize that you are not God and let God be God. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. God bless you.